Did you know that 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation and 90% lose it entirely by the third? It is known as the shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves curse. You work your entire life to build an empire, only for your grandchildren to end up exactly where you started, at zero. We typically obsess over the number. We think generational wealth is just a giant pile of cash hitting $10 million or $100 million. Common sense tells us that if the pile is big enough, it will last forever. But the reality is that money on its own has a half-life. Without a containment system, money evaporates. It is consumed by inflation, taxes, lawsuits, and bad spending habits. So, how do families like the Rothschilds or Rockefellers stay rich for centuries? The answer isn't in their bank accounts. It's in their operating system. We need to divide this into two layers: the engine that builds the wealth and the fortress that protects it. To escape the gravitational pull of poverty, a financial system needs one thing above all else: decoupling. Specifically, decoupling your income from your time. The default setting for most people is linear income. You work 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. The difficulty is that you are biologically limited. You can't work 24 hours a day, and you will eventually age. If your wealth relies solely on your physical presence, the moment you stop, the wealth dies. You are carrying buckets of water instead of building a pipeline. You need to switch from being a laborer to being an architect. The solution is ownership of assets. Think of every dollar you save not as currency to be spent, but as a worker you hire. If you buy a dividend stock, a rental property, or a small business, you have hired a worker. This worker doesn't sleep, doesn't get sick, and doesn't take vacations. It works 24/7 to produce more workers' interest, cash flow. On a mathematical level, this is the power of compound interest. It's an exponential curve. In the beginning, the curve is flat and boring. You are grinding. But once your army of dollar workers becomes large enough, the interest they generate exceeds your living expenses. This is escape velocity. At this point, you no longer need to work to survive. The machine runs itself. Most people think this is the finish line, but this is actually where the danger begins. Reaching escape velocity makes you rich, but it doesn't create a dynasty. In fact, sudden wealth is often toxic to the next generation. If you hand a teenager a Ferrari without teaching them to drive, they will crash. The secondary challenge is human entropy. Without a structure, the descendants will fight over the pie, split the assets, and spend the principal. The secret of dynasties is family governance. True generational wealth requires transitioning from a family business to the business of family. This involves creating a family constitution. This document outlines the values, the mission, and the rules of the money. It shifts the focus from financial capital to intellectual capital, how to think. Here is the genius twist used by the ultra-wealthy. They utilize the concept of the family bank. Instead of giving their children money freely, the family trust acts as a bank. Does a grandchild want to start a business? They don't get a handout. They present a business plan to the family board. If approved, the family bank loans them the money at a fair interest rate. If the business succeeds, the grandchild pays the loan back with interest, growing the family pot for the next generation. If it fails, the money is lost, but the lesson is learned within the safety of the family, not with predatory lenders. This system ensures that the money never truly leaves the family ecosystem. It turns the descendants into stewards and producers rather than just consumers. So, what is the blueprint? First, you must master the engine layer, converting active labor into passive assets to achieve financial escape velocity. But then, you must build the fortress layer, implementing the family bank and governance structure to ensure the money empowers your descendants rather than destroying them. This changes the definition of success. It's not about buying a yacht or a watch today. It is about planting a tree under whose shade you will never sit. It's about becoming the founding father or founding mother of a lineage. When you look at your last name, don't just see a word, see an institution. The decisions you make with your money today will determine whether your great-grandchildren study your life as a warning or as an inspiration. Building a dynasty requires a complete shift in mindset. It requires patience, strategy, and the willingness to learn things that aren't taught in school. It requires you to stop thinking in terms of paychecks and start thinking in terms of centuries. If you are ready to stop trading time for money and start building a legacy that outlives you, you are in the right place. We break down the psychology of money and the mechanics of wealth every single week on this channel. If you want to be the one who changes your family's trajectory forever, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments, what is the first asset you are planning to buy to start your own snowball? I read every single comment. I'll see you in the next video.